The gymnasium door slammed shut, a sharp echo slicing through the humid air. My heart lurched as I spun around, meeting Coach Elena's steady blue eyes, her hand still on the handle. "Lila," she said softly, "we need to talk." I was 17, a senior at Lincoln High in a sleepy Oregon town where everyone knew your business before you did. Track was my escape, the one place where my legs could outrun the whispers about my tomboy ways. But that afternoon, as the last of my teammates trickled out, leaving me alone to help Coach Elena stack equipment, something shifted like the air itself was holding its breath. Elena Voss wasn't just any coach. At 32, she carried herself with a quiet strength that made you want to impress her, to earn one of her rare, crooked smiles. She'd been at Lincoln for 2 years, turning our ragtag track team into state contenders. But it wasn't her coaching that kept me lingering after practice. It was the way her gaze lingered a second too long, the way her voice softened when she called my name. I told myself it was nothing, just a schoolgirl crush. But standing there with the door closed and the world outside fading, I wasn't so sure. "Lila, you've been distracted," she said, stepping closer. Her polo shirt clung to her shoulders, and I caught the faint scent of her citrus shampoo. "Your times are slipping. What's going on?" I swallowed, my throat dry. "Just senior year. College apps, you know." It was a half-truth. The real distraction was her laugh during warm-ups, her hand brushing mine when she handed me a water bottle. I'd spent months burying those feelings, terrified of what they meant in a town like ours, where different was a dirty word. She tilted her head, studying me. "You're not telling me everything." Her voice was gentle but firm, like she could see right through my defenses. I shifted, the gym's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "I'm fine, Coach," I lied, grabbing a stack of cones to avoid her gaze. But she stepped in front of me, her hand grazing my arm. "Don't shut me out," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I see you, Lila. I see how hard you're trying to hide." My breath caught. Was she talking about my running? Or something else? The gym felt smaller, the walls closing in as her words hung between us. I wanted to run, to bolt out that door and pretend this moment never happened. But my feet stayed rooted, and my heart pounded louder than the echo of that door. We spent the next hour organizing equipment in near silence, but the air crackled with something unspoken. Every time our hands brushed passing a hurdle, stacking mats, my skin burned. I caught her watching me, her expression unreadable, and I wondered if she felt it too. By the time we finished, the sun was dipping low, painting the gym windows in shades of amber. "Lila, wait," she called as I reached for my bag. I turned, and she was closer than I expected, her eyes searching mine. "You're not alone, you know. Whatever you're feeling. It's okay." I froze. Did she know? Had she seen the way I looked at her? The way I lingered after practice just to be near her? My pulse raced, torn between fear and a wild, reckless hope. "Coach, Elena," she corrected, her voice soft but deliberate. "Call me Elena when we're alone." That was the moment I knew I was in trouble. Not because of the door she'd shut, but because of the one she'd just opened. The next few weeks were a blur of stolen glances and careful words. I threw myself into track, pushing my body to the limit to drown out the thoughts swirling in my head. Elena was always there, correcting my form, cheering me on, her presence both a comfort and a torment. My teammates noticed my intensity, joking that I was gunning for a scholarship. They didn't know I was running from myself. One rainy afternoon, practice was canceled, but I stayed to help Elena sort through old team records in her office. The room was cramped, filled with the scent of coffee and worn-out sneakers. We sat side by side at her desk, our knees brushing under the table. Every touch felt like a spark, and I wondered if she felt it too or if I was imagining things. "Lila, you're shaking," she said, her hand resting on mine to still it. I looked down, realizing I'd been fidgeting with a pen. Her touch was warm, steady, and I didn't pull away. "I'm just cold," I mumbled, but my voice betrayed me. She turned in her chair, facing me fully. "You don't have to pretend with me." Her thumb brushed my knuckles and my heart slammed against my ribs. "I know what it's like to feel different, to want something you're not supposed to." My breath hitched. "What are you saying?" She hesitated, her eyes flickering with something raw, fear, maybe, or longing. "I'm saying I've been where you are. Scared, confused, but you don't have to go through it alone." I wanted to ask what she meant, to demand answers, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I leaned forward just a fraction, and she didn't pull away. The space between us shrank, the air thick with possibility. Then her phone buzzed, shattering the moment. It was her sister calling about some family dinner. She answered, her voice tight, and I used the excuse to grab my bag and slip out, my mind reeling. That night I lay awake replaying her words. I've been where you are. Did she mean she'd felt this way too? That she'd loved someone she shouldn't? The thought was thrilling and terrifying. In a town like ours where church pews were packed every Sunday and family values were law, people like me didn't exist. Or if we did, we stayed quiet. But Elena's words lit something inside me, a spark of courage, a flicker of hope that maybe I wasn't as alone as I thought. The next day, I arrived at practice early, determined to confront her. But when I stepped into the gym, I saw her talking to Principal Hayes, her face pale. He was gesturing sharply, his voice low but intense. I caught fragments. Inappropriate. Reputation. Resign. My stomach dropped. Had someone seen us? Had I gotten her in trouble? I ducked behind the bleachers, my heart pounding. Elena's eyes found mine for a split second, and in them I saw fear but also defiance. Whatever was happening, she wasn't going down without a fight. And neither was I. The gym was a ghost town after practice, the only sound the faint drip of a leaky pipe echoing off the rafters. I lingered by the bleachers, my sneakers squeaking on the polished floor, waiting for Elena to finish her meeting with Principal Hayes. Her office door was cracked open, their voices a low murmur, but the tension in her posture told me everything I needed to know. Something was wrong. I'd spent the night wrestling with her words. I've been where you are. They looped in my mind, both a lifeline and a weight. Growing up in Lincoln, I'd learned to keep my head down, to smile and nod when the pastor's wife asked why I didn't have a boyfriend. But Elena saw meth real mean that scared me as much as it thrilled me. Now, seeing her cornered by Hayes, I felt a protective surge I didn't know I had. When the door finally swung open, Hayes stormed out, his face a mask of disapproval. Elena followed, her jaw tight, but she softened when she saw me. Lila, you're still here? What was that about? I asked, my voice sharper than I meant. She glanced down the hall, ensuring we were alone. Nothing you need to worry about. But her eyes betrayed her worry flickered there. And something else. Guilt maybe. Don't lie to me, I said, stepping closer. I heard him. He said, inappropriate. Was it about us? Her breath caught, and for a moment she looked like she might bolt. But then she squared her shoulders. Not us. Not exactly. Someone saw us talking late yesterday. They're blowing it out of proportion. My heart sank. In a town like this, rumors spread faster than wildfire. A coach and a student alone after hours? It didn't matter that we'd only been sorting records. People would talk. What did he say? She hesitated. He wants me to take a leave. Says it's for the school's image. That's bullshit. The words burst out before I could stop them. You didn't do anything wrong. Lila, lower your voice, she said, but there was no anger in it. She stepped closer, her hand hovering near my shoulder before dropping. I can handle this. But you need to be careful. This town. It doesn't forgive easily. Her warning hit like a punch. I knew what she meant. Lincoln wasn't kind to people who didn't fit its mold. My cousin Jamie came out as gay 2 years ago and left for Portland after the town turned on him. I'd seen the whispers, the cold shoulders. I wasn't ready to be that person. Not yet. But Elena was different. She wasn't running. She was standing her ground, and that made me want to stand with her. I'm not letting them push you out, I said, my voice trembling. You're the best thing about this team. Her lips twitched into a sad smile. You're too brave for your own good, Lila. The next few days were a tightrope walk. I threw myself into practice, clocking my best times yet, as if proving my worth could protect her. Elena kept her distance, her coaching sharp but professional. No more late-night talks. But I felt her eyes on me, and I caught the way her fingers lingered on the clipboard when she handed it to me. It was torture, this dance of wanting and hiding. One evening, after a grueling practice, I found a note tucked into my locker. Meet me at the old oak by the track field. 8 p.m. My pulse raced. The oak was on the edge of school property, hidden from view. Was this a risk we could take? I got there early, the air cool and heavy with the scent of pine. Elena was already there, leaning against the tree, her silhouette sharp against the fading light. You came, she said, her voice soft but laced with relief. You thought I wouldn't? I tried to sound cocky, but my nerves betrayed me. She stepped closer, her eyes searching mine. I shouldn't have asked you here. It's reckless. But I needed to see you. My heart pounded. Why? Because I'm scared, she admitted, her voice breaking. Not just of losing my job, of losing this. Her hand gestured between us, and I felt the weight of what she wasn't saying. I stepped closer, close enough to see the freckles dusting her nose. I'm scared too, I whispered. But I don't want to hide anymore. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then her hand found mine, her fingers lacing through mine like they belonged there. The world fell away, the town, the rumors, the fear. It was just us under that oak, holding on to something fragile and real. But the moment didn't last. Headlights swept across the field and we sprang apart. A car idled nearby Principal Hayes. He didn't get out, but his presence was a warning. Elena's face hardened. Go home, Lila, she said, her voice tight. Now. I wanted to argue, but the look in her eyes stopped me. I ran, my heart hammering. Not from fear, but from the realization that I was falling for her hard. The next morning the rumors hit. Whispers in the halls, eyes following me. Someone had seen us at the Oak. By lunch my best friend Sarah pulled me aside. Lila, people are talking. They're saying you and Coach Voss are. You know. I felt sick. It's not like that. I lied, but my voice shook. Sarah's eyes softened. I don't care if it's true. I'm your friend. But you need to be careful. This town will eat you alive. I nodded, but my mind was on Elena. If they were coming for me, they were coming for her harder. I had to find her to fix this. But when I got to her office, it was empty, her desk cleared out. A note was taped to the door. Coach Voss on administrative leave until further notice. My knees buckled. I'd gotten her in trouble, maybe ruined her life. But worse was the ache in my chest. The fear that I'd lost her before we'd even begun. The school felt like a prison without Elena. The track team stumbled through practice under a substitute coach. A gruff ex-football guy who didn't know a sprint from a marathon. I ran harder than ever. Each lap a desperate attempt to outrun the guilt gnawing at me. I'd caused the ismy feelings, my recklessness had cost Elena her job. The rumors were relentless. By the end of the week I was that girl in the halls, the one who'd seduced Coach Voss. Kids I'd known since kindergarten avoided me, their whispers cutting deeper than any knife. At home my parents were oblivious, too busy with work to notice my silence. But Sarah stayed by my side, slipping me notes in class, reminding me I wasn't alone. I had to see Elena. I found her address in the school directory, an old habit from delivering team schedules. She lived in a small apartment complex on the edge of town, a place with peeling paint and a flickering neon sign. I biked there after school, my heart pounding as I knocked on her door. Lila. Her voice was sharp with surprise when she opened it. She looked exhausted, her hair messy, her eyes red-rimmed. What are you doing here? I had to see you, I said, stepping inside before she could stop me. Her apartment was sparse, couch, a coffee table, a few framed photos of her with what looked like her family. I'm sorry. This is my fault. She shut the door, her expression softening. It's not your fault. I knew the risks. Then why did you? I stopped, afraid to finish the question. Why did you let me get close? Why did you hold my hand? She sank onto the couch, rubbing her temples. Because I couldn't help it, she said quietly. I saw you struggling, and I wanted to protect you. But I let it go too far. Her words hit like a confession. I sat beside her, my hands twisting in my lap. Did you mean it? When you said you've been where I am? She looked at me, her eyes raw. Yes. I was 20 when I figured out who I was. My family. They didn't take it well. I lost people I loved. I came to Lincoln to start over, to keep my head down. Then I met you. My breath caught. What does that mean? It means you're braver than I was, she said, her voice thick. You're not hiding who you are. Even when it's hard. I admire that. And I feel something for you I shouldn't. The air stilled. I reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. I feel it too, I whispered. For a moment we just sat there, hands clasped, the world outside irrelevant. Then she pulled back, standing abruptly. This can't happen, Lila. Not now. Not here. Why not? My voice cracked. I'm not a kid. I know what I want. You're 17, she said, her tone firm but pained. And I'm your coach. Even if I weren't, this town would destroy us. You deserve better than that. Tears stung my eyes. I don't care about the town. I care about you. She looked away, her jaw tight. You need to go. Please. I left, my chest aching, but her words stayed with me. She felt something too. That was enough to keep me fighting. The next day, I marched into Principal Hayes's office. You can't fire Coach Voss, I said, my voice steady despite my nerves. She's the best coach we've had. The team's falling apart without her. Hayes leaned back, his eyes cold. This isn't about her coaching. It's about inappropriate behavior. Nothing happened. I snapped. She was helping me with college apps. That's it. He raised an eyebrow. Then why were you seen with her at night, outside school grounds? I froze, my lie crumbling. It was just a talk. She's my coach. He didn't believe me, but he didn't push. She's on leave pending investigation. That's final. I left his office shaking, but I wasn't done. If the school wouldn't listen, I'd make them. I rallied the team, convincing them to sign a petition demanding Elena's return. Most agreed she'd been good to us, after all, but a few hesitated, wary of the rumors. Sarah helped me spread the word. And by the end of the week we had over 50 signatures, including parents and alumni. I slipped the petition under Elena's door with a note. We're fighting for you. Don't give up. That night she texted me. Thank you, Lila. Be careful. The school board meeting was in a week. If we could sway them, Elena might get her job back. But the rumors were growing, and I heard my name whispered alongside hers. I didn't care about myself anymore, I just wanted her safe. The school board meeting loomed like a storm cloud over Lincoln. I spent every spare moment preparing, scribbling notes for my speech, my hands shaking with every word. Elena's future and maybe ours was on the line, and I wasn't going to let her down. The night before the meeting, I biked to her apartment again. She opened the door, her face a mix of frustration and relief. Lila, you can't keep coming here. I'm not giving up on you, I said, stepping inside. We've got the petition. The team's behind you. We're going to fight. She shook her head, but a small smile broke through. You're relentless. Someone has to be. I shot back, and for the first time in days she laughed, a sound that warmed me despite the chill in the air. We sat on her couch, going over the petition. Her hand brushed mine as she pointed to a signature, and I felt that familiar spark. Lila, she said softly, whatever happens tomorrow, you've already done more than I could have asked. I'd do more, I said, meeting her eyes. I'd do anything. Her breath hitched, and for a moment I thought she might lean in. But she pulled back, standing to pace the room. You're making this harder than it already is. Then let it be hard, I said, my voice fierce. I'm not ashamed of how I feel. She stopped, her eyes locked on mine. I'm not either. But I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protecting, I said, standing to face her. I need you. The words hung between us, raw and undeniable. She stepped closer, her hand cupping my cheek, and my heart stopped. Then she kissed me soft, tentative but electric. It was everything I'd imagined and more. A moment that felt like freedom. But she pulled away too soon, her eyes filled with regret. We can't, she whispered. Not until this is over. I nodded, my throat tight, but that kiss was a promise. We'd fight for this for us. The board meeting was packed, the community center buzzing with tension. I stood at the podium, my hands gripping the petition, facing a sea of skeptical faces. Coach Voss is the best thing that's happened to our team. I began, my voice steady despite the nerves. She's dedicated, fair, and she believes in us. The rumors about her are lies, and punishing her for them is wrong. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded, others whispered. I saw my parents in the back, their faces unreadable. I hadn't told them about Elena, but they'd heard the rumors. I pushed on, listing her accomplishments, the team's improved record, the lives she'd touched. When I finished, Sarah and a few teammates spoke too, their voices strong. Then Elena took the stand. She was calm, her voice steady as she defended herself. "I came to Lincoln to make a difference," she said. "I've followed every rule, given everything to this team. The accusations against me are baseless, but I'll respect the board's decision." The board deliberated for hours. When they returned, the chairwoman's face was grim. "Ms. Voss, we've decided to reinstate you effective immediately. But we expect strict adherence to professional boundaries." Relief flooded me, but Elena's expression was guarded. As the crowd dispersed, she found me outside. "You did it," she said, her voice low. "We did it," I corrected, grinning. But the victory was bittersweet. My parents were waiting, their faces tight. "Lila, we need to talk," my mom said, her tone clipped. At home, the conversation was brutal. They'd heard the rumors, pieced things together. "Is it true?" my dad asked. "Are you involved with her?" I took a deep breath. "I love her," I said, the words freeing and terrifying. My mom's face crumpled. "You're too young to know what that means. This isn't right." "It's who I am," I said, tears streaming down my face. "And I'm not ashamed." They didn't kick me out, but the silence that followed was worse. I felt like a stranger in my own home. The next day at practice, Elena was back, but she kept her distance, her coaching strictly professional. I understood she had to protect herself, but it hurt knowing how close we'd been. After practice, I lingered, hoping for a moment alone. "Lila," she said, her voice soft but firm, "we need to be careful. For both our sakes." "I know," I said, my chest aching. "But I'm not giving up on us." She smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Neither am I. But we need time." The weeks after the board meeting were a delicate dance. Elena was back, her presence steadying the team, but we moved around each other like planets in separate orbits, close, but never touching. I threw myself into track, chasing state qualifiers, while at home my parents' silence grew heavier. They hadn't disowned me, but their disappointment was a wall I couldn't breach. Sarah became my anchor, sneaking me out for late-night drives to clear my head. "You're braver than I could ever be," she said one night, parked by the river. "You're fighting for something real." "I don't feel brave," I admitted. "I feel like I'm losing everything." "You're not," she said fiercely. "You've got me. And you've got her." Elena and I stole moments when we could, a brush of hands during practice, a shared glance across the field. Each one was a lifeline, a reminder of what we were fighting for. But the town hadn't forgotten. Whispers followed me, and I saw the way some parents looked at Elena, like she was a scandal waiting to happen. One evening, after a particularly grueling practice, I found her in her office, staring at a resignation letter. "What is this?" I demanded, my voice shaking. She looked up, startled. "Lila, I didn't hear you come in. You're leaving." The words felt like a betrayal. "I don't want to," she said, her voice raw. "But this town, it's not safe for us." "Not yet." "Then we'll make it safe," I said, stepping closer. "I'm not letting you run." She stood, her eyes fierce. "I'm not running. I'm trying to protect you. If I stay, the rumors will keep growing. You'll be the one who pays the price." "I don't care," I shouted, tears spilling over. "I love you, Elena. I'm not ashamed of it." Her breath caught, and for a moment she just stared at me. Then she crossed the room, pulling me into her arms. It wasn't a kiss, it was a promise, a vow that we'd find a way. "I love you too," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But we have to be smart." We made a plan. She'd finish the season, then apply for jobs in Portland, where the world was kinder to people like us. I'd graduate, get into college, maybe even in Portland. It wasn't perfect, but it was hope. The state championships came faster than I expected. I ran my heart out, Elena's voice in my ears, pushing me across the finish line. We took bronze, and when she hugged me after, her arms lingered just a second too long. No one noticed her. If they did, they didn't care. For once, we were just a coach and her athlete, celebrating a hard-won victory. Graduation was bittersweet. My parents came, their smiles strained but present. I'd earned a partial scholarship to a college in Portland, and Elena had landed a coaching job there. We hadn't told anyone, but Sarah knew, giving me a knowing wink as I crossed the stage. The night before I left for college, Elena drove me to the old oak by the track field. The stars were bright, the air warm with summer. This is where it started, she said, her hand finding mine. And where it's going, I said, leaning in to kiss her. This time there was no fear, no hesitation, just us, free under the open sky. We moved to Portland together, not as coach and student, but as partners. The city wasn't perfect, but it was ours, a place where we could hold hands in public, where love didn't have to hide. Lincoln faded into memory, its judgment no match for what we'd built. Years later, I'd look back on that closed gym door, the moment that changed everything. It wasn't just a scandal or a secret, it was the start of a life I never dared dream of. Elena taught me to run not just on the track but toward who I was meant to be. And together we ran toward a future where love wasn't a risk, but a right. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.